on a Saturday if he won. It was if they win today, it's kind of like the Saban original positive test a couple of days before the Georgia game. We tested positive 3 days in a row after that, or three times in a row over a 48-hour period. So I that might not be in cement as far as him of being out more multiple games or anything like that. But I'm not exactly sure. But we did have an underdog win last night, and that was Drake. They were Wichita State was favored over them. And again, so far we've had all four games were great last night. Florida and Virginia Tech was just outstanding. And so we're really off to a good start. I mean, I can remember, well, years where the first couple of days there were only two or three really close games. Then there have been other years where they've been 8 or 10 just on the first day alone. So, you just never know till they line up and start playing.
Well, you're right. But again, this tournament, we're going to get through it. And again, last year, not having the tournament left a big hole. Obviously, for the NCAA, that was a big financial hole. But Mitch, look, let's think about this right now. You've got the tournament. How about half the teams are automatic bids? And look, the teams that are there are there. There's nothing we can do about it. Give me your four teams. Give me your final four. I mean, I know we've already started. That may be cheating, but give me your final four.
Illinois. I love the Fighting Illini. I love what they did earlier. And their first opening game. I love Gonzaga. I love Alabama, and I love the Razorbacks. Give me the Woo Piggers, baby. And then for the championship game, Illinois over Gonzaga to win the school's first national championship and bring a national championship home to Champaign, Illinois.
Jimmy, Illinois, you've been on Illinois all season long about how good they are. They are really good. The Big Ten's really good. The big bruisers underneath. Michigan, God, Ohio State. Now they're in a fight with Oral Roberts. I like the Big Ten. I think you're right. That's the best team. It's the best league in America. And the SEC may have maybe the best athletes of any league, but the Big Ten has the best basketball players. You've been right on that all along.
Well, I've got to go Illinois, Gonzaga, and then I'm going with Livers being out at Michigan. I can't go with them. In the last two seasons with him, they've been 33-9. Without him, they've been 6-7. He's just it's too big a loss for them to overcome. So I'm going with Ohio State. I think they're going to get by Baylor. I'm concerned with Baylor's lack of size in the front line, and I just don't know if they can just get there against a team that's faced so many just brutal battles in conference play. I think it really gives Ohio State an advantage in a single elimination format. And then I'm going with Texas. I think they're a really bad matchup for Alabama. They have guys that can hit the threes, just like their experience, like Bama can, but they got a huge size advantage, and their bigs are very athletic. And it just seems like to me that they've won.
I don't think there's anybody in the Big Ten that's not big.
Critical times,
mm-hmm.
yeah, and they don't seem to be phased when they get down big, or if they're behind late in the game, because they have multiple guys that can shoot the three and make big plays.
Look, Jimmy, you think about this. If every game in the Big Ten, you're going up against big physical teams, and you get to the NCAA tournament, you're ready for it. It's going to be a shock for a lot of the schools. And that's why I want the SEC to have a national champion come out of the league. I'd love it. We all do. But it's going to be a real long shot. And you just got to have those guys underneath, because it's going to, and also it's going to come down to free throw shooting. You know that. We all know that.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean,
Yeah,
it always does. Okay. Hey, Rodney Orr has just joined us from Tider Insider down in Tuscaloosa. Also, let's do this real quick. We're going to talk with Justin Wynn, general manager here at Red River Ford Toyota in Wynn, Arkansas. It is NCAA Friday. Hogs already won. They all won free tube of toothpaste. They beat Colgate in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And it's a great day when the Razorbacks win in the state of Arkansas. But at Red River Ford Toyota, they're going to be open until 6 tonight. And they've got the Fords, Toyotas out here. Also have a large inventory of used cars, trucks, and SUVs. But Justin, guys riding around right now. It's a Friday afternoon, and he's been on the web. He can come in here and be out of here in 20 minutes or less. But also the trade-in values are the best you've seen in 20 years. Let's talk about that.
So they're great right now, Rob. You know, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, but these values just continue to go up. And with that, that means big things for the consumer. Okay. That means you can get a better interest rate on your vehicle, a lower payment on your new vehicle. If you've got a vehicle that you've been upside down in, you may not be upside down anymore. I don't know if you saw coming in just now, but I've got signs out there offering just to purchase your vehicle. That's because my inventory is getting low and I need some vehicles out here to sell to some people. And so if you've got a vehicle that you've been thinking of getting rid of, that you've been thinking of trading, or that you just don't need anymore, I need you to give me a call and give me an opportunity to make you an offer on that.
You know, right now, so we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is the last year that the Toyota Land Cruiser is going to be manufactured, well, for sale here in America. People hold on to those for a long time. A person has an old Land Cruiser. They want to trade it in, say, you know what? One for the road. I want to trade it in. How's that looking?
Starting to look pretty slim. If you're wanting to jump on that Land Cruiser bandwagon, you better come on. We've got a very limited amount of time left where we can order the new ones, and they are kind of being held up in Japan even right now. And so if you're wanting one, it is definitely time to get on board and give me an opportunity to get it ordered for you.
All right, another one, the Ford Bronco is out, and I know there's a lot of pre-orders for them. What are the chances the person says, I want to get a Ford Bronco? I drive a Ford. I drive an F-150. I love it. Like I said, we had 20 inches of snow over at the farm and parking. I was pulling people out. You know, I was driving by people. You know, they were stuck left and right. If you ever debate, should I get four-wheel drive in a truck? Ask yourself this next time. If you ever buy a horse, should I get a horse with legs? Okay, it ain't a truck. It ain't got four-wheel drive.
That's right. Four-wheel drive is just almost a must. It's one of those things that if you never use it, you're going to spend some money that you didn't need to, but the very first time you need it, you're going to be so glad that you have it, okay? Whether it's inclement weather conditions, or just if you're out on the farm or out in the field, or you're out in your hunt club, whatever the case may be, you're pulling someone out, the four-wheel drive always comes in handy. And we've got a lot of options out here between the F-150, the Ranger, the Tacoma, the Tundra. Of course, your SUVs come in four-wheel drives. I've got a few cars that are all-wheel drives. So a lot of different options to fit those needs.
Hey, Justin Wynn, General Manager, Red River Ford Toyota. They're going to be open tonight till 6. Back in here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Remember, service department open on Saturdays until noon. Check them out. They're all here. John Dobbs Jr., part of the Red River Auto Group. You know the Dobbs name, Memphis Mid-South Cars and Trucks, a long time. Glad to have Red River Ford Toyota as a sponsor. It's March Madness. Come in here. They even have the color TV going. You can watch basketball while you're getting a new truck or a car. You'll love these people over here in Wynn, Arkansas. Hey, let's do this. Rodney Orr is with us, Tider Insider, and Justin Wynn is going to be back with us in the second hour to talk some more about what's going on here at Red River Ford. And you know what? He's happy the Hogs won. He's wearing his Razorback shirt. And hey, yeah, they're ready. They're ready. Hey, the Hogs, I would not want to play the Hogs. That loss in the SEC tournament lit a fire under them. And Eric Musselman is a brilliant motivator. He'll have those guys ready to play. We know that. Rodney, let's talk about the Crimson Tide, SEC regular season champions, SEC tournament champions, 80-79 over the LSU Tigers. It's great right now being an Alabama fan. I mean, my goodness, you won the football national championship. You're on a roll in SEC basketball. Softball's rolling. A lot of good things happening, but Tider Insider, the source for the Tide, and we're talking to Mr. Tider Insider Rodney Orr. Have at it.
Well, Rob, good to be on with you and Jimmy again. And yeah, and guess what, Rob? Today, right now, the start of spring football practice here in Tuscaloosa. Seems like just the other night it was Alabama, Ohio State for the national championship, but here we are. We're starting another season, and a lot of things going on in football. A lot of questions about this team, and you got basketball obviously tomorrow. So you're right. There is a lot of things going on in Tuscaloosa in terms of the sports, and everything has gone pretty well so far.
Gut feelings on how you think Alabama's going to do. That was a really tight game in the SEC championship in Nashville, but Alabama got the win. That's all that matters. And LSU, you knew they were going to come hard. Alabama beat them badly during the regular season twice. I think Alabama is that actually can be I don't like to see my team lose, but a game like that can really wake you up. And when you get lazy and lackadaisical and careless, that's when you get injured late in practice. That's when you get in trouble. You let your guard down. Most people get mugged in their own driveway, getting out of their own car at 3 a.m. because they let their guard down. I don't see that happening with Nate Oates. He's got a lot of that Saban in him.
Well, I think you make a good point about that. There's no question about it. But part of it too is, again, they're going against Iona, and I know Alabama fans. I've seen it all week on TiderInsider.com. Rick Pitino. There is something about Rick Pitino. Obviously, great coach, and the success he's had against Alabama in the past, and they haven't forgotten 1987, Rob and Jimmy, when Alabama had won the SEC championship, had a dominant team. Will Sanderson went into the Sweet 16, and Billy the Kid Donovan lit Alabama up in the first half. Pitino, and it was so they every time it's Rick Pitino, Alabama fans get a little bit nervous.
Yeah, that 1986 you're talking about. Yeah, I remember that.
87.
87. Yeah, 87. I remember that was during spring break. I was actually watching that and listening to that. I was in San Moritz, Switzerland for spring break skiing, believe it or not. And I got over there, and I mean to tell you, that was, golly, basketball, American basketball, by the way, is popular worldwide. Jimmy Hodge, it is. You've been all over the place, but man, that was one of the best teams Alabama ever had, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, outside of the 76 team, yeah, I would say I would have to say so. They were heavily favored. I think they played Providence in Louisville, and Billy Donovan was the only Providence player that could have started at Alabama. I mean, it should have been a total mismatch, and it was just really a brilliant coaching exhibition by Pitino. They were able to get out on transition. Their spacing was tremendous, and Alabama, I think Wimp was so shell-shocked that I don't think he called his first time out till there were 7 minutes left in the game. And it's definitely one of the darkest days ever in Alabama history. Now, Mitch won't know this, but in the
but you and I and Rodney will.
The 76 Alabama team, really, you talk about a controversial end to a game from an officiating standpoint. They were in a just back and forth tug of war with the 32-0 Indiana team that won the national championship in the Sweet 16 in New Orleans. I mean, in Baton Rouge. And with a minute left in the game, Leon Douglas scored on what appeared to be an and one. And you look back, the documentary and everything else, it's not even close. It's definitely a block on Kent Benson, Indiana's All-American center, and Leon Douglas was the guy that scored. And whoever the foul was called on, it would be their fifth foul, and they'd be out of the game. And Booker Turner, a now Pac-12 ref from L.A., made a late call about 2 seconds after Douglas made the basket, called a charge, and it just that was pretty much the ball game. And still controversial in many ways to this very day because man, Alabama really should have won the game. But outside of the 76 teams, I think outside the 76 team, that I'd have to say that's been Alabama's best team. But hey, if this team can make a Final Four run, it'll be right there with 76 for sure.
Yeah, Rodney, Nate Oates, he's going to stay. A lot of people, it's amazing. A lot of people really think he's a great coach, and they're trying to get him a job at any school but Alabama. It's amazing how nice people are, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he's done a fabulous job, obviously, in 2 years, the turnaround that he's made. You have a lot of people saying Alabama, they're predicting Alabama in the Final Four, which obviously remains to be seen. But, and again, I think Greg Byrne was proactive. He got this contract extension, this raise in place a couple of weeks ago, and I think he saw what was coming. And, which, again, like I say, big time AD, he made a great decision, proactive. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch Davis, you're on here with us as well. MitchDavisShow.com with Rodney Orr, Tider and Cider. And Mitch, we're dating ourselves and talking about a lot of these great Alabama teams. And I'm with Jimmy and Rodney. That 76 team was as close as, they were so close to beating Indiana, the one that went 38-0. And man, that Bobby Knight still, what would people pay for that Madras blazer he wore in the tournament that year? God, that thing was a thing of beauty and a joy forever. But Mitch, come on in this conversation. Okay. Mitch, are you there? Well, Mitch may have passed out watching basketball, but anyway, Rodney, I want to ask you too. You get into football now. We're going to talk with you. I know you got an appointment, so when you got to go, you got to go. But Alabama, Bryce Young, everybody they named him the starter last year before he got to campus out of Mater Dei High School out in California. I mean, he's a dual threat guy. He's 5'11" or 6 feet. Jalen Hurts was a dual threat quarterback, and they've had him, and they've won national championships with guys like Jacob Coker, who really was not that fast. I mean, he ran like a lumberjack, but they won a national championship. You surround a guy with that kind of talent, anything can happen.
The difference is, Rob, and you said dual threat. The difference is that I would say, Jalen Hurts was a run-first guy, especially when he first got here.
Sure.
He's never been a polished passer.
No, I agree.
Right. This kid is more of a runner by necessity, extremely quick. It does have good speed, can burn you running the football, but he much prefers to stand in there and deliver the football, and he is really, really good at it. I like Bryce Young. I think it's going to be interesting to watch his development this spring. Think about this, Jimmy and Rob, Mitch. Last year he came in early for spring, and spring got wiped out. He lost 15 opportunities, which includes 3 scrimmages if you include A-Day.
Sure.
All right, so he missed that. Then he got sick in August. He missed 10 days in August camp. That cost him another couple of scrimmages. So really, he went into last year with 1 scrimmage under his belt. So this is going to be a really valuable time for the development of Bryce Young this spring.
Well, a lot of coaches will say that the 15 days of spring practice are the most important practice days you have all year. Nick Saban last year had to deal with the same garbage everybody else did with the CCP virus, okay? But they had arguably the best offense in school history. They got talent. Ohio State's got talent. Georgia's got talent. But Alabama, in the second half, took Georgia to the woodshed. They curb stomped WWE style Ohio State in the national championship game, and they got a lot of talent. Nobody had spring practice. We were all eating out of the same bowl. I mean, look, give credit to Nick Saban and that staff. 13 of the last 14 years, he's had at least one of his coaches leave to take a head coaching job. Some years he has 6 or 7 assistant coaches leave. The one constant, There's three things you can count on in life now. I'm going to add a third one: death, taxes, and Saban really not missing a beat. Talk about that's just amazing, Jimmy. Whoever, but they just plug them in. But it's a process. And well, what do you mean the process? Well, why is the Marine Corps successful? Why is the Navy SEALs? Why are they so successful? They got a standard. You either meet the standard or you're gone. Again, if I'm the strength coach, everybody wears T-shirts, and there's a sign in the weight room that says "Get tough or get lost."
Well, yeah, I mean, he's just been able every year to replace multiple starters, uh, multiple coaches that go on to better jobs, uh, be it head coaching jobs or from a position coach to a coordinator position. And it just doesn't seem to matter. Again, we talked previously about the fact that after his initial season in 2007, where he went 7-6. Since that time, he's gone 163-17. I mean, it's just absolutely
Like
mind-boggling to even imagine.
Like you said, it looks like a typo. Jimmy, I mean, that's great stuff. I mean, Rodney, looking at Alabama running backs, Najee Harris, gone out of Antioch, California, came in the number one running back in America out of high school. Trey Sanders out of Tampa, Florida, gets hurt in 2019. He's there last year, but Najee's the man. Where does Trey Sanders? What about Brian Robinson? Talk about that Alabama running back room and also the receivers. I don't think anybody's been putting out receivers like Alabama has in the last 5 years in college football. You had Devontae Smith a couple of years ago, Jerry Jeudy out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, Devontae Smith out of Amite, Louisiana, out of Belleville, Texas, I think is where Jalen Waddle was from. And Henry Ruggs III was from Montgomery, Carver, or Lee. It's just unbelievable. Who is the receiver coach at Alabama that should get credit for that? In addition, let's give God credit because he made them all. I've just never seen anything like it.
Well, Holman Wiggins has been a great addition to the staff. He came from Virginia Tech, and I know they were not happy to lose him. And since he's arrived a couple of years ago, I mean, I don't think any other program could match the quantity of receivers that Alabama has put on the field, in addition to the level of their performance.
Well, the argument for the NFL, you want Devontae Smith, you want Jalen Waddle. Now, look, Devontae won the Heisman. He's great. But I'll take Jalen Waddle any day of the week because of his punt return, kick return, and receiving at 5'10", 180 pounds, whatever he is. I think he's the best all-around college football player in America. I know he got hurt October 24th in the Tennessee game, but if you look at what he did, he busted his ass to get out there in the rehab, was there in the national championship game, and you know that inspired Alabama. And it also sent a message to everybody else on the team that, hey, just if the guy ahead of you gets hurt and all of a sudden you're the starter, don't get lazy because people like Jalen Waddle, they're motivated by success and they'll find excuses to win and get back out there on the field. So I just think Jalen Waddle is just absolutely an amazing player, but gonna be fun to watch. I know Rodney had to get off for an appointment, and love having him on here all the time. And Jimmy, just looking at all these scores that are coming in, I mean, look at it right now. You've got Oral Roberts and Ohio State. Looks like a pretty exciting game. The neighbors still have the blinds up, but look, man, it's going to go. I think that game will probably go down. I don't know how much time's left. What is it now? About 3 minutes and 52 seconds left. It's 61-60 Ohio State. Man, Oral Roberts, man, he's got to be going crazy up there. Baylor 40-21 over Hartford with 17:56 to go in the second half. Georgia Tech 21-17 right now, 5:20 to go in the first half. Oregon State, a 2-touchdown lead, 14-7 over Tennessee with 13:02 to go in the first half. And then we got Liberty and Oklahoma State coming on tonight, Wisconsin and your Tar Heels, North Carolina, Cleveland State and Houston. That's a 2, Houston, a 15, Cleveland State coming up later. North Texas and Purdue later tonight. Rutgers and Clemson, Syracuse and San Diego State. You're going to have Morehead State and West Virginia coming up later. Winthrop and Villanova. That's what we got going on tonight. So lots of great basketball games that are going to be on. Get your TV cranked up. Mitch, I think, is in a coma right now, watching so much basketball. But Jimmy, did you think Ohio State was going to have this much of a struggle against Oral Roberts, or is look? It's the NCAA tournament, and those Oral Roberts guys have probably been playing together for 3 or 4 years, so they're as a team probably closer than Ohio State. Not as talented, but a closer team. That matters, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, they're playing with house money, no pressure on them. And, I mean, they're just pretty much just playing freewheeling style. And, they've pretty much been ahead most of the game. And Ohio State's kind of, righted the ship a little bit and, regained the lead. But this game is up for grabs. Ohio State's up 3 now at the free throw line with a chance to go up 5. But yeah, I mean, you just never know because every game involves different matchups. It's really amazing how certain teams match up against the teams that you would not think they could compete with. And then yet you look at 2 teams, you think they're going to blow the other out. And they're not able to do it just because, again, certain teams have strengths where you have weaknesses, and then you have strengths in areas where your opponent has weaknesses. So you just you just never know, and lots of times you have poor shooting teams that have a hot shooting day, and it can come out of nowhere. They might hit 60% from 3-point range today, but 2 days later, in their second round game, they won't be able to throw it in the ocean from the beach. So you just don't know.
Yeah, and look at it so far today. I mean, Florida obviously won 75-70 over Virginia Tech. Arkansas 85-68 over Colgate, and then Illinois obviously big 78-49 over Drexel. Texas Tech 65-53 over Utah State. Ohio State, again, right now 64-60 with 2:34 to go in the ball game. That one is going to be a nail biter. And that's people upset alert, whatever you call it. Look, it's the tournament. You're right. You don't have any pressure on you. Sometimes it's easier to play than it is. It's easier to play than most people think because they hadn't done it. But I think Baylor will end up winning big. Georgia Tech 23-20 with Loyola right now, Loyola of Chicago. That is with 3:30 to go in the first half. And again, Oregon State now pulled out to an 18-7 lead with 10:44 to go in the first half over Tennessee. And I really think Tennessee, I believe they'll come back and win. Oregon State, though, with 11-point lead. But again, it's so early, Jimmy. We've seen 25-point leads erased many, many times. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Let's do this. Audrey, let's take a quick commercial break here. And we're going to be back at 4 o'clock, top of the hour, 5 o'clock on the East Coast. We'll have Reese Davis of ESPN going to join us talking about college basketball, the landscape right now. A lot of people walking around on eggshells, worried. Can't do that. Look, if you got men going down, that's why you train everybody on the team. Next man up. That's what the tournament's all about. Who rises to the occasion? Hey, when stuff starts happening, which way are you going to run? Hopefully you got enough guys to field at least 5 guys on the court. I don't know, Jimmy, if they'll let a team play with just 4, but it might happen this year. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch. But quick commercial break. Sidelines.live. Be right back with you from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. 45 minutes from Memphis. Open till 6 tonight, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m., 6 p.m. Check them out on the website, redriverford.com. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey,
Yeah. There's a really cool app on here. It's the NCAA tournament, and it basically gives so what I've got right now, I'm just watching all these, and you can actually flick on there and watch the thing in every one of these games. But
yeah,
and it's got Ohio State, golly, 64,
they're
62
up
with
2.
107. Okay, that's real time.
Yeah,
Damn.
Ohio State's had 2 horrendous back-to-back possessions where they've had turnovers.
Okay.
They were up 4 and they got the ball. So they better hope this possession's better than the last 2.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. I'm sending the thing to Reese. Let's see. Okay. All right. Paul, I'm texting him something here. Man, I love the try. I'm so glad we got it this year. Golly. Dash 2708. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. But yeah, Rodney had to go. He had an appointment. The person came in, but man, and we'll get into some more football talk as well tomorrow because everybody's starting spring practice. I mean, it's all happening. It's fast,
Yeah.
I mean, God, and I did make that was a bad use of words about Jalen Hurts being a dual threat. He was not a polished pocket passer.
No.
So,
No,
Jimmy, please forgive me. Don't flog me.
Yeah, still isn't.
He really
I think they're going to find out in Philadelphia.
Yeah. All right. Well, Reese will be on here with us in just a second. So how much more till we come back, Audrey? Okay. A minute, 14 seconds, 13 seconds. You remember Jethro? They'd ask him what time it was on his Mickey Mouse watch, and he'd look at it and go, it's 4:09 and 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. And man, Mr. Drysdale would be like, oh, and Uncle Jeb would go, boy, that's all right. All right. It's what time is it now? Well, it was 4:09. Now it's 4:09 and 23 seconds. Jethro Bodine, man, that's still the funniest show ever. It really, it's fantastic. I hope Georgia Tech can pull this thing out.
Loyola just went on a 9-0 run. They're up 28-23.
Golly, there you go. 2:21 to go in the first half. Yeah. This thing, yeah, you can watch this thing live. This is amazing. Of course, I can't do it now because I'm on here with you.
Boy, Loyola was people were livid about their draw because they're ranked 9th in the Kim Palm rankings,
here which are 10 seconds. Yeah, let's bring that up when we come back. Yeah, hold on. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Okay, Rob Brown back here with you on the Friday afternoon edition of Sidelines.live, and we are broadcasting from one of our sponsors, Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. They are open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. That means they'll be here tonight, 6 p.m. or later, as Justin Wynn, the general manager, says, until the last sale is done. If you want to get the process started of looking at a new car or truck with Ford Toyota at Red River, go to the website, redriverfordtoyota.com. They're also on our website, sidelines.live. As they say down in South Alabama, www.sidelines.live. So Jimmy Hyde's on here with us right now up in Chicago. We had Mitch Davis. He is in a basketball coma right now there in Memphis, host of the MitchDavisShow.com. Just had Rodney Orr of Titer Insider in Tuscaloosa, $48 a year. That's all it is. Go to the TiterInsider.com website and subscribe to Titer Insider. They've got great information, the best, most up-to-date information on the Crimson Tide. Also, great forums that are there for discussion of football, basketball, and all sports. And Rodney Orr, one of the good guys out there, keeps us informed. Always love to have him on the show. He's down there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There's just a lot going on right now. The NCAA tournament, again, Arkansas beat Colgate, Florida beat Virginia Tech, and we are at a point right now. Tennessee is in a little bit of a tussle, but I mean, look, that's, when you get to the tournament, I think nerves, Jimmy, play a big part in it because you're out there on the big stage and everybody's watching. And look, it's you get one shot, you can't lose, or you're going home. But if you win, you're going to stay there in Indianapolis for a long time. It's going to be like sales training. I remember I worked for A.G. Edwards in St. Louis. I was up there for 3 weeks, man. I walked everywhere you walk in downtown St. Louis. There's only so many times you can go to Union Station or to the Arch, but the Arch is pretty cool. Jimmy, by the way, when you get up there in the Arch sometime, it's real windy on the banks of the mighty Mississippi down there by Laclede's Landing. The Arch will start shaking. If you hadn't ever been up there, it's pretty cool. As an architect, like my dad would say, concrete has no natural tensile strength. That's why they put rebar in there. That's what allows it to move. But Sidelines.live again, be with you till 5 p.m. And we are going to be joined now up in Reese Davis of ESPN. We're so glad to have Reese on here. And Reese just recently signed on for several more years with ESPN, the host of ESPN Game Day, football, basketball, as good as it gets, and one of the favorite people of mine. And listen, if you are looking ever for someone to model yourself after, it is Reese Davis. And he's also one of the funniest people and some of the best lines ever when he used to do the 6 o'clock sportscast. Like, this team's chances of winning the championship are fading like a cheap sunset on a spaghetti Western. But Reese, welcome to Sidelines.
What's going on, Rob? How are you?
Well, it's March Madness, man. I'm just thinking about, everybody's got to be excited. Compare this to a year ago when we didn't have the tournament. And thank God we've got it going on right now. And I know that you are right in the heart of it. And thanks so much for being on here. We've got Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago. But you tell us, man, it's March Madness, and we're getting off to a great start. We got a tight one with Ohio State and Oral Roberts right now. But if that happens, that would be, I guess, the first upset of the tournament so far, but probably not the last, isn't it?
I wouldn't think so. And I'm watching that game right now. And I tell you, Ohio State is very fortunate to still be ahead. Now, they are the more talented team, but the nation's leading scorer, Max Asmus, who plays for Oral Roberts, had a tremendous first half. Buckeyes done a pretty good job on him the second half, but he's created several opportunities for teammates with really good looks, and they've missed a few shots here late that would have given them the lead and probably a little cushion if they could just hit a couple of them. Right now, they've got a free throw shooter on the line, Kenny O'Banner, who this is the best free throw shooting team in the country, and I'm going to jinx him live right here. But I think he shoots 88% for the season. He made the first. They called the timeout, and he calmly knocked in the second. So 14.9 to go, and we're tied up. So it's been a good game. Oral Roberts has played tough. They're kind of fearless. They get shots up quickly, and they're fun to watch. And Buckeyes are going to try to save themselves here in the last few seconds.
Well, one of the things that, and Jimmy and I were talking about, is you look at teams in the NCAA tournament that have played together, like in Oral Roberts, for 3 or 4 years, and Ohio State. Some of those guys are there for one and done, but that's more of Kentucky, and Duke's doing it some now. But it's difficult when you play against a bunch of guys that are that close. And that's why Loyola of Chicago a few years ago was in the Final Four, and Brad Stevens with Butler made it there. And it's really important when you can have a team. And I don't think anybody would question the talent level of John Calipari's Kentucky team this year, but they were 9-17. And Jimmy Hodge, you've talked a lot about this may just not have been a great crop of one and done players, but come on into this conversation with Reese Davis of ESPN. Love having Reese on the show, and it's March Madness. It doesn't get much better than this, but come on in, Jimmy.
Well, Reese, I wanted to get an idea of what's your thought on the direction of the tournament since the one and done rule came into effect, I think in 2007, because without it, I don't think we would ever had an event like VCU playing in the first four and the Final Four, and then Butler playing for the national championship in back-to-back seasons. And it's really created a great opportunity for those quote-unquote mid-major programs.
Heather.
We know, but I think it has created a great opportunity for those mid-major programs, Reese, and that's one of the things. And I'm with Jimmy. The tournament, to me, this year, obviously we know about the virus. Georgia Tech's best player is out, but How much of a difference has that made in your opinion? You've got the best view of anybody.
I kind of think it's hard to say. I'm not trying to dodge or skirt the question, because you have had teams with a lot of one-year players that have done quite well. Duke won a national championship in 2015, while certainly Kentucky had a couple of veteran guys on the team. They were primarily led by Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who were there for a single year, 2012. The Duke, there was a great Duke team that just missed going to the Final Four with Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett. Kentucky's been in a situation some young guys take them to the Final Four, but only the one championship. So I understand, but I think there have always been opportunities for veteran teams to kind of gel and come together over the course of time. I think one thing that's really happening now is that you have so many transfers that a premium is being placed on coaches that can build chemistry and put teams together quickly. And you referenced Ohio State a little while ago. They don't really have, a lot of one and dones, but they do have a lot of transfers. And Justice Suing has been really important for them all season long. As a transfer from California, a little bit of a different situation, but Seth Towns, who has been a contributor off the bench that was going to Ohio State after having some knee injuries at Harvard. He was a terrific player there. And while Seth is still a really good player, I don't know that he's the same guy that he was prior to his knee injuries at Harvard. But they've had a lot of guys that they lost a lot of guys last year, and they have guys they put together quickly. And so I think as much as anything, it's been a premium on being able to get your roster together and have them blend, whether it's with one and dones or with guys who've transferred in, because there are a ton of guys across the sport who aren't staying 4 years in one place. They play 3 or 4 years of college basketball, but they're playing at more than one school.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I'm going to ask this one to Reese, and then you come on in. Reese, this year, early in the basketball season, Duke lost some non-conference games, and I'm a huge Coach K fan, and you work with Jay Billis, and we were talking. Jay is just y'all's crew is just unbelievable. His basketball knowledge. I mean, I was in college in the mid '80s. I thought the documentary that y'all did with ESPN, the group that saved Coach K, that's one of the best that you've ever done. And you think about his early career. He's been at Duke now 40 years, and the struggles he came when he got the job at Duke. Reese, if I'm correct, he was coming off of like a 9-17 record at Army, and Duke hired him. And the first 3 or 4 years, they really struggled. And then, golly, you think about Jay Billis comes from California, and that was just an amazing run that they had. But it was unusual this year. I love to listen to his show. He's a great motivator. And they've sort of been in and out all year long. It was just, they'll look back at this as a miserable season for them by their standards. We know that, but nobody knows. I can't even imagine basketball without Coach K and North Carolina. Jimmy, you're a huge North Carolina fan, but you get to see this out there. I think he's great for college basketball, just like Dick Vitale. Dick Vitale, when he comes to town for your game, I mean, it's just as good as it gets. And y'all have you took what you've been doing in football with Game Day, Reese, and it transitioned into basketball, and it's incredible. And now we y'all have just pushed on through with all the virus and all the restrictions and everything like that. But give us a health, I guess, checkup on the current state of college basketball. And I miss Tom Izzo not being in the tournament this year either.
Well, he was in until last night.
Yeah, temporarily.
They sort of squandered a game that they should have put away against UCLA last night. But I think it is the sport is in a difficult position right now. It would be disingenuous if I said otherwise. It's not, I wouldn't say it's, like on the precipice of falling into the abyss and not being popular. But one of the things the the sport continually wrestles with, as fired up as everyone is about today and tomorrow, next few days, the tournament starting, is even in the best of times, one of the things that sport has struggled with is being a 1 month sport and generating traction and people really paying attention prior to the tournament. I think it is one of the downfalls or downsides, I should say, of having so many teams in the field. And I'm not advocating reducing the field. I'm just saying there have to be some creative ways to find to generate some interest during the season a little bit. I think it starts a little too early. I think that a unified starting day that you would build to would be extraordinarily helpful. And by the way, Max Asmus missed a free throw a minute ago, which was an anomaly, but then he came down, hit a tough jumper, and ORU is up by 6 on the Buckeyes. So we may be seeing a 15 over a 2, but there's still 2 minutes to go here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that there are a lot of struggles facing the sport right now. There are name, image, and likeness issues, which is across college athletics, needs to be addressed. I think perhaps once that gets to where, in my judgment, it should be, and the athletes are treated like any other student on campus, and if somebody wants to, hire them to do a birthday party or sign autographs or do a commercial,
Yeah.
They can. So once that happens, that could change the dynamics of the sport, maybe make it even more attractive to stick around a little bit longer, and realize the value of being in a college environment for a period of time. But I don't mind if guys don't want to do that. If they want to, go pro, I think that's great. I mean, good for them. You wish them well. So I do think though that the sport is in need of some tune-ups in terms of trying to generate some interest during the season, because football bleeds so deep now, not only college game, but the Super Bowl being played in February. It drives Billis crazy, and we actually tease him about it because he hates it when people go, well, now the football's over, we turn our attention to basketball. As if we're incapable of paying attention to more than one thing. But there is an element of truth to that it's so overshadowed for such a long period of time that that it makes it difficult to gain any traction until we get to this great event of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I will say this before we go back to Jimmy Hodge. I've said for years, put it into a age-banded trust or an incentive-based trust for the kids. If they're going to sign a deal, you may have Reese. We remember eating at Country's Barbecue. This tackle brought to you by Country's Barbecue and Taquillo Spikes. And when the man gets out of the hospital from his injuries, he's looking forward to coming and eating at Country's. But put it into a trust so it's there.
Rob, I'm not on board with that, because I don't like people telling others what they can do with their money.
Yeah, and I don't either.
I think they should be able to have representation just like anyone else. I mean, certainly, people say, but they would be taxed on it. Well, so what? Everybody's taxed on everything. Big deal.
Okay.
And they would do that. It would be more. It would bring some of the other unsavory things that happen. Those would still happen. Nobody's saying that would, would eliminate any type of malfeasance. But it would bring some of this type of thing out into the open, and it would be. And I don't think anyone would care. I don't think anyone, would care if Bo Nix had some type of endorsement deal, or if Devontae Smith, was on every other commercial in the state of Alabama. I don't think anyone would care after a while, and I also don't think it would compromise their education. No one says that about music majors. Wow, that person sat in with the London Philharmonic. How in the world could they possibly get a good education?
Yeah,
no one says that, and I don't think after a while that they would say it about athletes either. So, I know that there could be some guardrails, like to your point about the trust, whatever the guardrails might need to be. I think we have guardrails for businesses and how they operate. I certainly think that it's not beyond our capabilities to be able to implement some of those things and allow name, image, and likeness and a little more freedom for the college athletes as well.
Yeah, and I know my friend Vince Thompson, I went to Auburn with Melt Atlanta,
Yep.
is really, really involved in it, and he's a big fan of it. And I was in Atlanta last week. You know, my stepdaughter Reese graduated from the University of Alabama, so she's a great girl too. But I got Wilson's at Auburn. But by the way, real quick before we go to Jimmy Hodge, the gang on 13th Street in Columbus, David Hart and Teresa and everybody are listening. So Goober says, hey.
Hello to the Fountain City.
I love it. Hey, Jimmy Hodge, come on back in here with Reese Davis of ESPN. This is awesome. It's March Madness, and we got the man on the show.
You sure have, and I was sorry, Reese, about getting interrupted. On my previous question, my wife, our daughter goes to Loyola, and she was yelling something down at
It's Sister Jean.
So I got a little bit distracted. Oh, I want to tell you, Reese, too, that the Loyola people were not at all thrilled about their seed being ranked 9th in the Ken Palms and then 17th in the AP, and they were expecting at least a 6 or 7 a draw and to get a number 8, and then Tech, and then Illinois in the second round. It just didn't go over particularly well.
Well, Illinois is a brutal draw, and I'm going to be honest with you. I picked Georgia Tech to win that game, and then went back this morning with the intention of switching it to Loyola because Moses Wright not playing for Georgia Tech out with the virus. And by the way, Oral Roberts is giving Ohio State every chance in the world to save itself, and the Buckeyes are refusing to do so. So
they had, but before this and one, Reese, Ohio State had about 7 horrible consecutive horrible possessions, didn't even get a shot.
Yeah. But no, back to the Loyola. I ended up not changing it, stuck with Tech, and I felt really good when the Fighting Pastors jumped out to big league. See now that Porter and Krutwig and the fellas have restored order, and they got the lead at halftime there. So
yeah, and people don't realize that both Williamson and Krutwig were freshman starters on that 2018 team.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the transfer angle, I mean, that's always been a big factor. I mean, Kentucky doesn't win the national championship, in my mind, in '78 if Kyle Macy doesn't make like 4 consecutive 1-and-1s down the stretch in the Elite Eight against Michigan State.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just if you get the right ones, it can make all the difference in the world. But what I wanted to ask you about was just your role on game day in both college basketball, college football. I wanted to kind of emphasize in my mind what really makes a great analyst is on the football side to me. I'm a guy, but Kirk Herbstreit, I mean, if you hear him analyzing a game, what makes him, I think, just unique and at a level above everyone else is that if you didn't know it, you would have no idea that he played at Ohio State or he was a captain there. He just does a superb job. Every play, he recognizes certain intangibles that occur, and in a way, I think that really no one else does. And on the basketball side, I'm a huge North Carolina basketball fan, but and I always thought Billy Packer was great. But I'm telling you what, Billis he's the best I've ever seen. In that, again, you would have no idea that he played at Duke and was a grad assistant there, and his relationship with Coach K, you wouldn't have any idea because his work just supersedes all that. And I mean, he's just it doesn't matter who's playing. He just does a superb job at just analyzing the ebbs and flows of a game.
Yeah.
Well, I work with and they're very different in their approaches the life. but they're the two best in They're the two best analysts in television. I'll put them up against anybody, any sport. I don't care. Those two guys are phenomenal in what they do. And and Kirk and I have become really, really close friends. And I don't have a better friend on the planet than Jay Billis. There's nobody that is that's more loyal. That's he's just as good as they come. He's consummate professional, great at what he does. And I think to your point about the bias, which is and we all know that in sports and on social media what bias means. That means that you don't agree with me or you don't have a blinding love for my team the way I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the definition of bias. When people go, you're biased. And the thing is when you do what we do for a living, it's not as difficult as people think, for a number of reasons. The first being that it's your job and you're a professional and you want to, you are in that role in that moment and you want to excel doing that. You want to be the best at doing that. And if you are constantly talking about, your alma mater, or in the case of the guys who played a certain place, constantly talking about where they played or the good old days or when I played, then you're not doing that. And those two guys understand that better than anyone I've ever been around. But the funny thing is that most analysts do. Rare is the analyst, I think, who I think in most cases there are exceptions to every rule, I'm sure, and liking or disliking people on television is a matter of taste and subjectivity. But I would say that more often than not among analysts, the tendency is to be too hard on the school you played for, or the coach you played for, or whatever, in an effort to avoid the appearance of bias.
Yeah.
And but that's not going to satisfy people on social media. It's just, and that's okay, because the fans' only obligation is not to look at it through a prism of fairness or a prism of you trying to present the game in the most fair way you possibly can and the most entertaining way you can. The fans' obligation is to watch the game and say, does this line up with how I feel about my team? No. Okay, then I hate you. Yes, it does line up with what I think about my team. Okay, I love you. Wait a minute, now it doesn't line up anymore. I hate you again.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be, and when I say that, I'm not trying to be condescending toward the fans. That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
The fans are supposed to feel that way. And most all of us understand that. We understand that if they didn't have that blind love that before I got in this business that I had, if they didn't have that, then nobody would care as much. They go, oh, like you think right now in Columbus, Ohio, they're going, oh, well, isn't that a nice story for Oral Roberts?
No.
He got beat by the Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts just called the Buckeyes home. If you're old enough to remember that reference.
Yeah.
So they're not looking at it like, well, that's a nice little story. They're ticked off.
Yeah.
And that's as it should be. And that's what makes it great. And it's why we can have all of these platforms and all of this ability to talk about these games and have them on television and, all of the opportunities they provide for people.
Reese got a question. Middleton McDonald is on. This is a young man and his father I've met in Atlanta last week. Huge Georgia Tech fans, the whole family deep in the Yellow Jacket Nation. And this is a young up and coming, reminds me a lot of me, as my dad would say, an idiot savant. He said, boy, you got a vast storehouse of useless knowledge in that head. Once we can find out a way to make money off of it, things are going to be great. This is a kid in the 7th grade that knows a lot about Georgia Tech, and he's been dying to get on here and talk to you. Middleton McDonald from down in Atlanta, Marist High School. Man, have at it. You're on with Reese Davis of ESPN, one of the genuinely good guys. If they ever do a sequel to Father Knows Best with Robert Young, Reese Davis is my man. I'll be the director. Middleton,
Hello.
you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I'm watching your squad right now. They got to close out on the 3 a little quicker. What's going on?
Well, what I'll tell you right now is Cameron Crutwig, he hasn't done much at all. That's going to change. Another thing, too, though, Georgia Tech is 17-3 when they score 69 points or more this whole season. Their current record is 17-8. They've only scored 28 points right now. And another thing I'll tell you too is Loyola's defense is so good. They've been holding teams to 55 points per game.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of that is product of pace. I think Loyola, Loyola is not exactly Alabama, when it comes to getting up and down the floor and letting it fly. So, but I really like this Georgia Tech team. Their defense, Alvarado, as you know, has been playing a little banged up for the last few weeks. And I don't know if you're watching right now, but that was just a tremendous reverse layup by Usher off a great pass from Jose. And I really like this team. I mean, Josh Pastner has made it a cornerstone of his program to try to get old and stay old, and meaning that he needs, sort of like they were talking about earlier with guys who transfer around. He tries to keep guys in the program and let them get veterans. Now, listen, you know everything about Georgia Tech, so maybe, and I can only assume that Alvarado must have gotten blood on his jersey or some such thing. Why is he wearing 5 today? Do you know the answer to that? Number 5.
Well, recently he had been having a problem with the hamstring. He pulled his hamstring before they played Duke. After they were coming off of a win against Syracuse. But Jose Alvarado is wearing the jersey of number 5 to honor Moses Wright, who is out due to COVID, which is also been a killer.
Yeah.
That has been a killer for the Jackets.
Yeah, that's silly of me. I should have realized that. I did a few of their games this year, and I was saying, why is he not 10? And no name on the back. And of course, Moses is number 5. So that's good. If they win a couple, maybe Moses will get to play if they make it to the Sweet 16. So that'd be a pretty tall order having to deal with the Illini, but you never know.
Yeah.
I think I can try this one first, I guess.
Well, they can do it, but what I'll tell you right now is all that matters is now and the future. And, I mean, Tech controls their own destiny, but one thing they haven't done well at all is they haven't made very many adjustments. I mean, Jose Alvarado has that number 4 guarding him for Loyola, and, I mean, he can't guard Jose at all. Jose needs to be doing more.
Hey,
yeah. Well, I wish your boys luck. I wish your boys luck here.
Hey, listen, man, Middleton, Reese, thank you so much. I know you're busy. You've got a lot going on. I want to say it is always great having you on here, and whatever you really changed my mind on this name, image, and likeness thing. I don't like being told what to do either. I love the game. Remember, you and I used to love to have the back to the basics movement. We longed for the days 30 years ago of Chris Schenkel. Let's get those scores up there right now. And we're putting them up there. Those old black things, they would put the hooks up there and they'd give the score, and they'd have Buddy Davidson on the phone or Lauren Smith. Lauren, what do you got? Well, this Georgia team is just having a hell of a time trying to stop Auburn. Bo Jackson just keeps coming like a tornado. All right, that's enough. One more time, you silver britches, hunker down. Let's go. Reese, what you need to do is publish a book with all of your great sayings. And I'll tell you another one of the funniest ones was the respirator's on, the priest is in the room, and they're calling the kinfolks to the bedside. And then
I think I probably stole that one. I don't know, but it was not an original.
But
that's not my wheelhouse. But it probably worked.
Weren't you the one though that came up with Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Georgia, the NASCAR?
No, that was not me at all.
Well,
you're making stuff up.
Don't you remember the Beverly Hillbillies episode when Mayor Hogg came out there to visit and he said, "Why, Jed, I said before, I'll say it again. A house divided against itself cannot stand." And they're going, "Doggy." He said that. He goes, "I sure did." And even Jethro figured that one out. But listen.
Somebody see if they can get Rob some caffeine.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wish I'd have never left the business, Reese. I mean, because getting you back on, I mean, we're having a blast with Sidelines.live. But this is Christmas on steroids, and I've been in the basement with Matt Foley for 3 days drinking coffee, getting ready for this. But go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one last question, Reese. Does Porter Moser make a move to DePaul or Minnesota if they offer something in that $2.5 million range, even though he's been such a fixture at Loyola and has really rebuilt the program from scratch?
you know what? To be honest with you, I don't know him personally well enough to make a judgment on that. Just from the outside, I don't mean to be disparaging to the folks at DePaul. I would be very careful before I made that move. Minnesota might be a different deal. I think you can win at Minnesota. I think that's been proven. Certainly, I think it takes the right guy to win there. I think Richard did a pretty good job. I don't know, they would fall into these long stretches of not playing well that ultimately cost them a bid or whatever it might be at different times. But I think Richard's a good coach. But obviously, probably it's time to reset the shot clock there, and that might be something that would be tempting, a chance to take a shot at a Big Ten school, a place where I think you can recruit and win. And certainly with his knowledge of the area and reputation, it could help him. But look, if he's, you can't put a price tag on happiness. And if he's in a good place financially and he's satisfied with his lifestyle and what he can accomplish, and he's taking team Final Four, and
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said for that. So that's kind of hard for me to answer. But
Yeah.
just broad strokes, just from a if it were just Coach X in that spot, I would say if I were in the position of that coach where you felt good about your administration and your job and your life, that Minnesota might be more tempting than DePaul. Just but everybody likes to make money, and if it's a significant upgrade, he's at a time in his life when it might be good for his family and future to be able to make a little more money, then maybe you would take a swing at something like DePaul.
Well, Reese, DePaul brought in the new AD after having 5 or 6 horrible ADs that did nothing but make bad coaching selections. This guy came from Kentucky in September, and you can just tell the way he talks and so forth. He means business. Mm-hmm. These 2 decades of just being in la la land, you can just tell are over. This guy is serious about bringing in an elite coach and getting some things done. So just, keep that in mind, no matter who they get at DePaul, because I think you're really going to see them put out the financial resources necessary to get a coach that when you see an announcement, you're going to go, wow, these guys are really serious.
Well, with the history that they have there, and I know it's been quite a while, but it would be great with the basketball talent in the city if they could keep enough of that around. That would really, I think it would be a shot in the arm for the game. I think to have to pull back on the national stage, certainly that would be good news for them.
Yeah, it would. Reese Davis, thank you so much for being on here with us. And
right,
please tell everybody how much we appreciate all your hard work. And you're right. You're an Alabama grad, but I worked with you. You are first class as it gets. And I want a copy, by the way, of December 2nd, 1989. Somehow I lost all my videos from my years down there. Maybe Barry Cameron or David Hart can get it for us. But David Hart said to tell you hello, how much he appreciated meeting you at a Clemson game with his wife a couple of years ago. He's the general manager at Channel 3. But always love having you on, and you are great for college sports, and your wisdom today sunk in, man. It was like getting hit on the head with a baseball bat. I think you're right. I don't want to be told what to do. It's going to be fun. And the news egg is waiting for you on 13th Street.
All right, man.
All right, man. Be good. Looking forward to it.
See you.
Listen, one of the genuinely just great guys. I mean, he's another. I have so many Alabama friends, and he's one of them. I mean, the guy, I worked with him, and I'm telling you, talk about a pro. Yeah, he loves Alabama, but boy, he'd go over there and cover in Auburn, everything. Him and Roger Manus and Mike and all of us, and I was in the newsroom doing news, and I would help out any way I could. But you talk about a great guy, Reese Davis, ESPN, and hey, having Middleton McDonald Mitty, who is down there in Atlanta, young up-and-comer down there, Atlanta Marist. And hey, let's do this. We're gonna talk now with Justin Wynn, general manager, Red River Ford Toyota here in Wynn, Arkansas, and we're talking about what's going on right now in the car and truck business. And it is March Madness. Oral Roberts, man, Oral Roberts beat Ohio State in overtime. Oral Roberts, I always think of him. He had that white skunk streak in his hair. He had one of those haircuts they call a whoop back, is what they used to call it down in South Alabama. But Red River Ford Toyota open until 6 p.m. tonight. Again, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m., 6 p.m., 45 minutes from Memphis. you're going to Heber Springs. A lot of the guys in the cherry farm, MJ, Yukon Cornelius, and the boys are up on the Little Red right now trying to do some trout fishing and having some road sodas. But Highway 64, about a half mile south of the Walmart in Wynn. Great place. And check them out on their website, redriverfordtoyota.com. Now we're going to let Justin Wynn, the general manager, tell you what's going on in terms of trade-ins, what is available on the lot right now, and how you can get hooked up with your truck or your car or SUV of your dreams.
Man, you're right, Rob. Oral Roberts just busted a ton of brackets out there, including mine. I'm talking just
including mine.
And I'm trying to do the same thing to all these objectives that Ford and Toyota have set out for me this month. And we're doing a good job, and we're doing it by making sure people are getting the cars at the prices and deals that they're looking for, making sure that the cars fit their needs and wants. I mean, that's a big thing. You can drive anything, but whether or not the car actually works for you is a different subject. And that's something we specialize here. We want to ask a lot of questions about what you're using the car for, how you're going to be, how many people you're going to have in the car. Do you like the nicer features, or you just need something? We're going to make sure that the car fits your needs and wants. Then we're going to make sure you get a great deal. And then not only on top of a great deal, we're going to make sure that you get a great value for your trade-in. And that's all due to the fact that inventory supplies are getting a little low on pre-owned vehicles. And because of that, we're able to offer you way more than anything I've ever seen before in this business.
Well, I've brought several people over here to look in getting a car, a truck, and every one of them has bought. And I just say, you're going to love these people when you go work with them. And it's going to be a fair deal for both parties. You know, in a business deal, I was told one time by a pretty smart friend of mine, if 1 and 1 equals 3, go with it. That's what happens when you come over here. And people always say they want a deal. They want a good deal. Well, what's a good deal? You get in the right vehicle at the right price range. And that's real important. And that's what you're great at doing, isn't it?
That's exactly what we do, Rob. We make sure people are happy and comfortable and energetic. And, you know, you want to have a good feeling when you buy a new vehicle. That's a large purchase, and you want to feel good about it. And we want to make sure that you do that also. And we do everything in our power to make sure that happens. Look at that Tundra sitting there, Rob. I mean, whoo, I just had that thing cleaned, and man, it's shining like a new penny.
Well, I've been in the back seat is the largest back seat of any truck out there. I mean, it's gorgeous, and it's got the 35-inch tires on there. And again, you know, a truck with 4-wheel drive, whether you're here in Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, the Mid-South, and we got listeners all over the place on the web, sidelines.live. Come here. And if you're looking, you could be living anywhere. We've got expats. We've got military people that listen on the web around the world. And again, thank you for your service. Hoorah! But if you're looking to get a car or truck, no matter where you are, you can find one right here at Red River Ford Toyota. John Dobbs Jr., the Dobbs family. Everybody knows them in the car and truck business. The Ward family, as you told me, in Central Arkansas, they've been in the car business for a long time. The Dobbs family, Red River Auto Group, the Ward family, they're here to help you get what you're looking for. So do this. Put it on your to-do list before you go to bed tonight. I'm going to Red River Ford Toyota tomorrow. They'll be open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're going to have the TVs on with basketball on all day long. Everybody here is excited. The Fighting Musselmans, the Arkansas Razorbacks, won. They beat Colgate today. Hey, Florida won in the SEC. Oral Roberts beat Ohio State. That is the first bracket buster, but they're going to be here. So get on the website. By the way, and it is, my dad's reminding me on a text right now of an Oral Roberts victory going back several years ago. Memphis was ahead, Oral Roberts was ahead of Memphis at the old Mid-South Coliseum by 8 points with 14 seconds left, and Dana Kirk and the Memphis Tigers found a way to win. Hey, it ain't over till it's over, but go to redriverfordtoyota.com on the website. Get the process started. If all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, the commas, the punctuations, the colons, the semicolons, and everything, you can come in here. I've seen it happen with my own 3 eyes. You can see someone walk out of here driving their new vehicle off the lot in 20 minutes or less. Look, you can't beat that. And you'll love these people over here. Justin Wynn and the team, Red River Ford Toyota in Wynn, Arkansas. Justin, thank you so much. And we'll be talking to you again in the morning. It is the March Madness, and we're not mad. We're happy. And, hey, I love having Middleton McDonald, Mitty, the Midi down there in
Yes, sir.
Atlanta. And hey, I liked your questions. Hey, Jimmy, he didn't lack confidence when he was talking to Reese. He goes, "I'm going to tell you this." I like that, don't you? Hey,
Yeah,
Middleton, go ahead.
Well, I mean, one thing I'll tell you about the game right now is the Jackets are coming back, but also Cameron Krutwig, again, I know I mentioned him earlier, but he usually shoots 57.9% from field goal range.
Well,
And, Tech recently just took the lead, and they have the ball. So I'll tell you one thing about this game. There have been 4 lead changes, so it's a pretty good game to watch. Low scoring, but that's how March Madness is. You just don't know what's going to happen.
well, you're right. And listen, man, I love this time of year, the tournament. And most people, their bracket was busted. Again, today it is Friday, March 19th, 2021, Grand Bob. That's what I call my dad, Mitty. You call yours Grando. I call mine my kids call my dad Grand Bob. He was, he went to high school with Mr. Naismith. He's been around a while. Okay. Jimmy, they wrote the rules together on a lunch break. But hey, it is a great thing going on right now. Georgia Tech in the second half. It's going to be a tight one. And now, Jimmy, your daughter, you said, is excited. She's watching the game. And hey, you know what? Anything can happen. What's your gut feeling, Jimmy, you think is going to happen in the second half? Georgia Tech and the Fighting Sister Jeans.
it's just going to go down to the wire. You can just tell. It's 43 all now. Loyola hit a 3. And usually you can just tell fairly early in the game, and the flow of the game might go back and forth. But it's one of those deals that if they do get a lead, or one team gets a 6 or 7 point run, it's inevitable that the other team's always able to counter. And you just that's my gut feeling about this game.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to just 1 or 2 possessions.
Yeah, I mean, but right now, again, when they went to the Final Four, that was a veteran team. Okay, Georgia Tech, best player not on the court today, but Josh Pastner, smart basketball coach. Okay, and I have no doubt he's got a plan for this. And I think the smart coach's game plan. My brother-in-law played football at Virginia Tech. Rick was in banking 42 years, all over Virginia, West Virginia, and the Carolinas. Said one of the best speeches he ever heard in his life was Bobby Knight, great Indiana, Texas Tech basketball coach, and a hell of a chair thrower. But anyway, I digress. He said, Bobby Knight said, the reason I've won so many basketball games is not because I'm so nice to the officials. He said,
yeah, that is for sure.
Yes. He said, I go in and my coaches, and we look at every way possible that we can lose the game. And then we just backdate from there. Okay. And he won a lot of basketball games and several national championships over the years. And who will ever forget in the 1987 national championship in the Superdome when Keith Smart, a junior college transfer, hit that bucket? Man, I mean, I just think back of, and Jimmy, you made a great point about Jay Billis. And Mitch Davis was on earlier with us, the MitchDavisShow.com. And God, if you love basketball, you got to follow Mitch Davis. He's great. And we also love having Jake Crane of the J-Boy Show. These guys they're passionate. They love it. Jimmy Hodge, Middleton, we're going to have to get you on here more often. But I tell you, you're right. Jay Billis, how'd you like to have him on your side as an attorney going before the Supreme Court? And you're right. He's such a pro, and he does so much for the game. And Dick Vitale, look, I know he has his favorites, Coach K, North Carolina. But wherever he goes, if he goes to Auburn, he's going to go, Sonny Suitcase Smith. Oh my. I mean, I remember when I was in school, everybody used to say, go imitate Dickie V. I mean, I remember in 1987, Auburn was playing North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Went up there and the Dean Dome, the Smith Center. It ain't the Smith Center. It's the Dean Dome. That's what Dick Vitale called it. The guy's got one eye. The gods were gracious enough to give me a spare. Remember that great line of the movie 300? But Dick Vitale, I mean, look, have you ever met Dick Vitale, Jimmy?
Yes, I have.
He's a cool guy. And I mean, he just loves the game. Mitty, I don't know who your favorite is, but if you want to go into broadcasting, and looking at someone, look at people like Reese Davis and Dickie V. Hey, yeah, he's passionate, he's loud, he's BSC sometimes out there, but that's what people love. Just be yourself. That's the number one thing. Jay Billis, Reese Davis. I mean, I was lucky. I worked with him for 2 years. I wish I'd have never gotten out of the business. I love it. Every time I'm on the air, that passion pulls me more and more in that direction. I love it. But I'll tell you this much. Be a professional. Be fair with people. And if you're fair and objective, people will take you seriously. I mean, Mitty, I know you love Georgia Tech, but I got a pretty strong feeling that just as much, if not, at least as much about everybody else that Georgia Tech plays, don't you?
Thank you, sir.
You there?
But yes, sir. I'm there.
Yeah, come back. Mayday. We lost Mitty. Come in, Mitty.
Yes, sir. I'm right here. But one thing I'll tell you about Georgia Tech is I definitely love college basketball. I love Georgia Tech basketball, and of course, to be completely honest with you, I wasn't paying much attention to Tech basketball when they were good. In fact, I was barely alive while Tech was really good. But anyway. Yeah. And yes, sir. I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I got you. I love this.
Yes, sir. But anyway, I was just telling you. Yeah, I wasn't alive in the Crimmins days. I was alive in the late Paul Hewitt days. That's when they really started to slip, and then through the Gregory days. Thankfully, I didn't pay much attention until Pastner's first year at Georgia Tech when they were NIT runner-up.
Well, hey, look, ask your dad and your grando, if they remember old Tico Brown when they were in the Metro Conference, Georgia Tech, and of course, and Bobby
Morrison.
Yeah. Hey, look, man.
I'll tell you right now, my grando does.
Yeah. Hey, look. Yeah. You know what? Stephon Marbury. They've had Bobby Crimmins was from Brooklyn or the Bronx, and he brought down a lot of players, Jimmy and Mitty, from up in the Northeast, and North Carolina made a living off of bringing guys out of Queens and Brooklyn. You know what?
McGuire.
There you go, Jimmy. That started the pipeline.
Larry Brown. Yeah.
Man, think about Jimmy, name five. Mitty, listen to this. And I know Jimmy Ott was going to try to call in on the show today, but he is broadcasting live, as he said. And Jimmy Ott Unfiltered, he said, I'm doing shows all weekend at the Mississippi Sports Book. So I'm sure after the Oral Roberts bracket busting win over Ohio State, things may be a little bit chaotic in there. And Jimmy may be unable to get a phone line out. So, maybe it'll be crazy, but name me, Jimmy, 5 most famous, the biggest names in North Carolina Tar Heel basketball history, in your opinion.
Well, the first one, current fans probably wouldn't know, but Lenny Rosenbluth, who was the MVP of their 1957 undefeated championship team that beat Wilt Chamberlain in Kansas in 3 overtimes in the national championship game in Kansas City. And they won the night before in double overtime in the semis against Michigan State. Lenny Rosenbluth, top 5. Most people are going to go Jordan, Worthy, Phil Ford. I mean, they didn't have great teams, but man, Billy Cunningham was something else. I mean, they've had so many, it's almost hard to really analyze them. Tyler Hansbrough is the most decorated player in North Carolina history.
And you know where he's from, don't you? Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
From Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Home of, and I bought Boyd and I bought a couple of T-shirts there one time before a race. The Poplar Bluff Mules. You talk about some good-looking shirts. I got them. I still got one.
Yeah. Only player in ACC history to be 4-time first-team All-American. When he came to Carolina and for the 2006 season, they lost their top 7 scorers from the 2005 national championship team, and he carried that team on his back. Went to the NCAA tournament, went 4-0 against Duke at Cameron. Carolina fans, there was a time when they called it Hansbrough Indoor Stadium.
Hey, Mitty, now you think about it. going down there to Alexander Memorial Coliseum there at Georgia Tech. And I was over there last week when I was with you and your dad and Walshy there at Fado, big Irish pub there in Buckhead. Man, I tell you what, where are you watching all these games right now, Mitty?
I'm actually watching these games right now at my granddad's house.
There you go. Hey,
sir, my granddad's house.
Okay.
Granddad.
Yeah,
I got a few names for him.
Yeah, I got you. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, and Jimmy, I like that history back there with North Carolina, because most people would maybe say most famous names. They'd say James Worthy, Sam Perkins, the Rubber Band Man, Michael Jordan. But look, there's so many. And then how about all the players that left the state of North Carolina? Remember Dominique Wilkins from the Little White House in Washington, North Carolina. He played for Hugh Durham at Georgia.
Yep.
And Hugh Durham, that was the 83 Final Four in Albuquerque. But, I mean, Mitty, you think about Georgia Tech. They have had their last Final Four team, I think, was in 2004, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I was at that game in the finals against UConn, and they pulled a no-show. And that was, from that point on, Paul Hewitt was that was pretty much the highlight. They just went straight into a downhill slide after that.
Yeah, and I think people, if you're a Tech fan, you got to be pulling your hair out unless you're bald. But you're just going crazy, going, why don't we have a great basketball program? Because you look at the population in Metro Atlanta, it's about 6.5 million people, probably 22 counties. But as Billy Roberts, one of our regular contributors on Sidelines.live, says, Georgia's got 159 counties. I think that's more than any state in America. They have a county fetish in the state of Georgia. I mean, but anyway, it must drive you crazy. Of course, academically, Georgia Tech is one of the hardest schools in the country. Engineering is what it's known for. But, man, they got a great brand. And, Mitty, it's a lot of fun watching them in this tournament. I know the neighbors have still got the blinds pulled up, and but it looks like Loyola's ahead 53-47 with 7:43 to go in the second half. I may be off a little bit, but if the neighbors put the blinds down, I'm out of luck completely. We got about 10 minutes to go here on Sidelines. But Jimmy, I know I asked you this. Mitty, give me your Final Four that you picked in your brackets and then who's going to win the whole national championship. And if you win, Jimmy and I will personally send to you via FedEx a box of fluorescent bulbs and some sponges and a gift certificate for 24 grenades with shrapnel, a bowl of mud, and a box of fuses. That's 24 Crystal Burgers with onions, 2 bowls of chili, and 3 boxes of French fries or fuses. But go ahead, give me your Final Four and your pick to win it all, Mitty.
Well, one thing I'll tell you is I definitely did a lot of brackets. My Final Four, I have Illinois, Taylor. Now, to be honest with you, I'm really not that high on Gonzaga. And I know this game was brutal in the regular season, but Virginia is really coming. I think they're really going to come alive. I predict they're going to come alive. And after being canceled in the ACC tournament due to COVID, I think that's going to give them a lot of motivation. And I say they make a big run to the Final Four.
Well, I will say this. Tony Bennett, I mean, he's great on stage, and he's also great as a basketball coach. People try to say that they're not that talented. They play defense. They're boring. They are really talented, and Jimmy will back me up on that. And I will say this. If anybody tries to put an asterisk outside of Georgia Tech's name for winning the ACC tournament championship last Saturday, they're out of their mind. What I say to you, pull your lip over your head, dude, and swallow, because you're completely wrong. Look, it's like the last man standing. It's a game of survival. And the Georgia Tech fans, I know we were talking about it. You've got to be ready, man, because when your moment comes, you're the backup quarterback and the starter gets knocked out, you got to be ready to go, Mitty. That's the lesson right there. The only easy day was yesterday, and you got to find excuses to win. I mean, you're a competitor. Jimmy's a competitor. Mitty, Jimmy was one of the 4 guys that went around the country rebranding Adidas sportswear. So he got to travel all over the country. One of his bucket list items was to run a mile at the track in Eugene, Oregon, the most famous collegiate track in America / the world, I would say. So, you're on here with, and also Jim Swarthal from out in Utah is on with us right now. But I want to say this too. Georgia Tech, Jimmy, this is interesting. Mitty and the whole family are Tech people. And we had, Sean McDonald on with us last week. We also had Rich Take on Sports, Richmond Weaver from over in Greenville, South Carolina, covers Clemson and the ACC. I'm going to ask you this, Jimmy. What about that Georgia Tech brand in football? You think about a city like Atlanta. What is it that's keeping them? Jeff Collins is using this branding with the area codes 678-770-404. You think Tech can become a real force to reckon with in college football again under Jeff Collins? I know, Mitty, they have one of their cousins is related to him. But do you think they can do it again? I know that Bobby Ross won a national championship there in 1990, a proud alumnus of the Virginia Military Institute, a cadet at one time. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think the right guy can, but it's especially hard right now because of, the Paul Johnson era where they ran, such a unique offense, and he, recruited players who were brought in specifically to run that offense. And, Jeff's 2 years in, and, it's not going to be something that's going to be done overnight. But I do think if, they stick to their guns and they do good player evaluation, and can develop players. Yeah, I think they can. But again, it's, it's just not a process that happens overnight. And a lot of it depends on the situation you inherited.
Yeah, and also obviously we know how hard a school Tech is academically, but I just went by, Grant Field, Bobby Dodd Stadium. Man, I've been to a lot of games there over the years. It's incredible, right there, downtown Atlanta. It really is just it's right in the middle of everywhere. But look, guys, so far, and we're about to wrap up here on the Friday edition of Sidelines.live. We're going to be back on tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, 9 to 11 east of the Chattahoochee. People like Middleton, McDonald, and Sean McDonald and Grando over there listening, and Walshy and Billy Roberts and Frank Duffy. We're going to be back on tomorrow morning with you, 8 to 10 a.m. Central on Sports 56 WHBQ, 96.1 and the new FM 98.5. And all the shows, you can go to sidelines.live and listen. You can follow us at sidelines _live. That is at sidelines _live. Also, subscribe to our podcast on the Apple podcast platform. We're on there now. Audrey got that hooked up a while ago. And, of course, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, all those social media platforms. You can find sidelines.live there. And we are a team effort. We got Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago. We had Rodney Orr, Tyler Insider on with us earlier. Mitch Davis of the MitchDavisShow.com. Got to follow this guy if you love college basketball. We had Reese Davis of ESPN Game Day College Football, College Basketball. Look, if Reese Davis is involved with it, it's going to be first class. And we also said hello to the old gang down on 13th Street in Columbus, WRBL News Channel 3. And Reese and I worked there together. A lot of great people have come out of there. Teresa Whitaker's there. Becca was there. All the people there. But the bottom line is this. It is a great time of the year. Jimmy, Middleton, remember this time last year? We didn't even have a tournament. We've got it. We're going to find ways to make this work. You can count on that. It will happen. This tournament and, Georgia Tech, they're in a fight right now. Long way to go. A lot of basketball left, but we're going to be back on doing this again tomorrow. And I want to say thanks to all of our sponsors. Charles Hall, great folks out at Hewlett and Dunn on the Square in Collierville, Tennessee. Henry Jones. Look, Jones Orchards, mid to late April. They're going to be harvesting the peaches and the strawberries. They'll be back on here soon. Right now, as they say, they don't want to sell out of an empty wagon, but they will have everything soon. And, of course, the store on Highway 51 with all the preserves and everything is open. And we're here again live today, Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. Check them out on our website, RedRiverFordToyota.com. Justin Wynn, the general manager, John Dobbs Jr., the Red River Auto Group, the Ward family, great people to work with. Come in here. They're ready to deal with you if you're ready to deal with them. And if 1 and 1 equals 3, you're going to walk out of here with a new car, truck, or SUV. So want to say thank you, Robbie, the forklift driver, one of our favorite listeners out there. Hope you're doing well. To everybody listening, thanks so much for tuning in. All these shows are on the podcast again. It is Friday, March 19th, 2021. Go to sidelines.live. The Nige will have the show up there within the hour. And again, we'll hear you back with us tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., Saturday morning edition of Sidelines. And Shoney, Doug Dean, all the people out there listening, Ida and Mary Cooley, great to have everybody listening from here, above, and all around. It's been a great day. We're out of here. Don't quit because you're tired. Quit because you're done. And your wife and your producer, Audrey, is saying you're out of time. So check back with us in the morning. Thanks so much for being with us. We're out of here. Okay. Okay. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on one second. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Minnie. Hey, yeah. Hey, Jimmy. This is when I was in Atlanta. I was telling you about I went and met with my friend Steve Walsh, and he introduced me to Minnie's dad, Sean McDonald. He's a Georgia Tech guy. He ran track and field for him. He's a couple years younger than me. And then his grandfather went to Georgia. They're all